Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Our first story comes from Drowsy Gamer, who says, would I be the arsehole here if I broke up with my fiancée because she bought a house while I was away? For context, I'm in the Navy and have just recently gone on deployment. Earlier this year, me and my fiancée moved in together. We got a 2-bedroom unit that was part of a duplex. I paid all of the rent for the unit and covered all the moving expenses and financed buying all the furniture and appliances we needed for moving in together. While all of this was going on, I was making preparations to go on deployment, such as setting up power of attorney, establishing a joint bank account, and creating an emergency fund for while I'm away. So by the time I left for deployment, I was pretty low on liquid cash. Fast forward a couple of months with no contact. I pull in for the first time and start catching up with her. She tells me all kinds of stories about how the neighbors have been super annoying, how they don't take out the trash bin, how they have weird hours, how they're noisy at night, and how there are constantly new guests being invited over by the lady in the lower unit to spend the night. This was apparently a build-up because a few days later, she informed me that she had just signed the final closing paperwork for a little townhouse. I immediately had several questions such as, but not limited to, am I going to be paying rent for our little duplex and we live in this townhouse? Why didn't you talk to me about buying a new place? When are you going to move? Is there a mortgage on the new house? How much is the HOA? To which I was largely either ignored or told to mind my own business. I've tried to be optimistic about this unexpected turn of events. However, this has become very frustrating for me. While I'm away, I can sometimes get email communication, and she did not even mention the home buying process once I was out of contact. I've never been too connected with her personal finances, but although I know she doesn't have a mortgage, she refuses to tell me if the house was bought in her name or in her parents' name, / how much money of hers she used to buy the place or how much the place was. She has even suggested to me that she might not be comfortable having me live in the townhouse with her until we are married because it's embarrassing for her to live in the same house as a man she isn't married to. So right now, I'm still paying rent for my duplex, a large allowance to her monthly so she can buy food and whatever, and now I have finance for a new oven and decorations for the new townhouse. The proposed plan for me right now is to get a deployment letter to try and take advantage of the Civil Service Members Relief Act to try and break my lease early, but she isn't even giving me a straight answer on if she will let me live with her in the new place, and when I try to press the subject she gets overwhelmed and accuses me of not supporting her and not validating all the hard work she is doing to make the new place livable. For context, our relationship has never been ideal. We have had large fights that could have ended the whole relationship, and both of us have done hurtful things to the other in the past, which is part of the reason why I've delayed marriage. Mostly to see if we can work through our problems, but now I'm feeling like she is making moves to push me away, and that she may be preparing for a breakup, but keeping me around to collect a steady paycheck and finance her move and renovations. But on the other hand, we still have good moments together and laugh. We are still doing long distance dating like watch movies through Zoom and eating together. We still talk about the future together and how the little garden is going to be so pretty, or how she wants pets and a fish tank. So maybe I'm overreacting. After all, I love her enough to have gotten engaged to her. I'm still away from home, so my problem is further exasperated by the distance and time zone shift. Would I be the arsehole if I broke up with her for this? Part of me is terrified I'm going to come back with my accounts drained and my duplex emptied. The other part of me is worried that if I overreact, I could be throwing away this relationship. A commenter says to OP, no one's an arsehole here. I don't know how the military works, but why were there months with no contact? Is that normal? If she was the one refusing contact, you need to get out of this relationship ASAP. Actually, sorry, you need to get out of this relationship now anyway. OP says, unfortunately, being out of contact for months is very common in my line of work. Submarines make communication back home very difficult. Commenter says, end this relationship. This person was using you to save up to buy a home. Commenter says, not the arsehole. Your fiancé is doing some shady stuff. Buying a townhouse without even consulting you. That's some next level lack of communication. It's almost as if she waited for you to be gone for this to happen. It's weird that she's fine with you paying rent and her monthly allowance, but is unsure if you can live with her in a new townhouse because you aren't married. I'm guessing if she doesn't have money or a job, this townhouse was purchased by her parents. This might be her making an exit while still draining as much money from you as she can. I wouldn't fund another dollar of the new townhouse until you at least get some straight answers from her. It's all the huge red flags around the house that I really hate in this one. That she's happy to take his rent money, his monthly allowance, his help buying all the appliances and decorations for the new place, but she won't answer basic questions about the ownership, finances, or whether he'll even be allowed to live there. I might not be comfortable living with a man before marriage after they've already been living together. Come on now. And then he's being told to mind his own business about a house he's apparently helping fund while simultaneously refusing to tell him whether he has a future in it. I'm sorry, I'll be done with that situation immediately, but a commenter said to OP, "So you getting married or did you break up?" OP said, "I broke up with her. I'll do an update post in the near future, but the gist is that I broke up with her while I had contact during one of our port calls. I then came back and she moved out of the apartment. I'm still figuring out how much all the damages are totaling up to, since I need to get my car fixed and she took some of my stuff too, like my TV and cookware. But besides those, it's not been bad. I still have all my money in the bank and a credit report has showed that I have no new credit cards in my name. So all in all, not as bad as it could have been." So it was a bit over 3 months later that OP came in with an update and said, "First, I want to say thank you to everybody who took the time to read my situation and give me advice. I've held off on updating for a while since I wanted to see how things would play out before I finally called the matter closed. Shortly after making the post and having some deep conversations with my best friends, I finally made the decision to take action. That next day, I went to the bank and revoked her power of attorney privilege and cancelled all reoccurring allowances to her before I talked to her. I called her after I was done with all that and tried to broach my concerns gently. The response I got was poor to say the least. Despite my best efforts to be gentle, the situation quickly escalated until she told me that she bought the new house because she didn't trust me that I wouldn't kick her out. After it got to that point, I gave up. I hung up, silenced her notifications and went to bed. I texted her the next day informing her about how the power of attorney had been revoked and how I wasn't giving her any more money. She was on the lease. Since she was on the lease, I told her if she decided to stay in my apartment, she'd be responsible for paying half of the rent if she didn't move out before I got back. I then muted her and didn't talk to her again before I went underway. I finished out the rest of the deployment. We only got one more port call for a couple of days on the way back home from mission. I took the time to call her to find out some things. She tried to guilt trip me by telling me how much she missed me and how she got hurt during her new work. I found out during the call she was still living in my apartment. That day I messaged her again, telling her she was not welcome in my house and she needed to get out and that we are no longer together before I muted her for the duration of my port call. I came back home in early May. She moved out of my apartment and took all of her stuff with her. She took a couple of my things like my TV and my kitchen appliances, but the bulk of my things were still there, so I didn't get legal authorities involved. My place was disgusting. It felt like it hadn't been cleaned since the day I left, so I had to spend 3 hours that first day back cleaning. I got done cleaning and found out the shower was fully clogged. By the time I got back from the hardware store with a drain snake, the water was still standing. And when I went to bed, I found out the place where I normally sleep had a big hole stabbed into it, and her side of the bed had a big blood/pee stain. I assume a bad period. So I basically had to refurnish my entire house, which had been an expensive ordeal, to include a new mattress, TV, and kitchen appliances. Luckily, my bank account are fine and she has no access to them, so I have no monetary issues. I've not talked to her since I've been back, and I don't think I want to after how she has treated me. It just really sucks that things had to end this way. The first commenter said to OP, "Stop being a little witch. Sue her in small claims court for everything she has done. You're just showing her she can keep doing this. You don't want the TV appliances back, but the cash value now. Let her declare bankruptcy or pay you." OP says, "It's not about the money for me, it never has been. I'd rather not deal with her in a drama. My peace of mind is worth far more than any TV if you ask me." A commenter says, "The only person who gets hurt in small claims court is the plaintiff. It's years down the toilet to get a judgment you can never collect. If the amount is like 20,000, then sure, maybe, but it doesn't sound like it's anywhere near those kind of damages." OP replies saying exactly my thoughts. Someone says, "Did OP change his locks?" And OP says yes. Another commenter says, "OP, did she buy that townhouse with money from your shared savings? If so, 50% of that house is legally already yours. You say it isn't about the money, but she has done nothing but steal from you your entire deployment, trash your apartment, and stole and destroyed your property. Get your money back. Get your equity from that house, if your money paid for it, and make this a complete legal break." OP responded saying the money from our joint account did not go directly into financing the house. I drained every penny I could from the account the second I cancelled her power of attorney. If she did use any of my money, then it was through her personal accounts, and I'm not about to try and prove whether it's my money at that point. Someone said, did OP's ex contribute to the joint account? And OP says no, just me. And honestly, I know Reddit loves the whole sue her, take her to court, get the karma, make her pay for every fork and spoon that she stole, but I'm with OP on this one. And sometimes I like those endings as well, but he got out, he protected his accounts, he revoked that power of attorney before anything catastrophic happened. Could he spend months or years possibly chasing her through small claims court? Would we cheer him on? Absolutely we would. But I understand OP here going like, you know what, the TV isn't worth having this woman in my life for another 6 months or however long it is. And it's one of those ones where the best outcome isn't revenge, karma. It's basically living your best life, changing the locks, replacing your stuff and never having to hear from that person again. But what would you do in this situation if it was you? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, before we do get into this next story, I do want to give you a warning just from the title. It looks like there's talk of death and suicide within the story. Also mentions of sexual assault too. So if you do want to skip it, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. The title is My 20 Male Girlfriend 19 Female went into my phone and deleted my female friend's number, as well as blocked her on all of my social media. She did this because she says I'm spending too much time talking to the friend whose mother died 2 months ago and whose brother just committed suicide. I am 20 male with a 19 female girlfriend. I have a close personal friend, Cassie, 19 female. I've been friends with Cassie my entire life. It was always a platonic relationship, never romantic or sexual. Earlier this year, Cassie's mother died. A few weeks later, her brother committed suicide. As you can imagine, Cassie is a mess. Her father isn't very supportive of her. She's having panic attacks, what seemed like every day. She needs a therapist, but she refuses to go see one because when she was 11, she was sexually assaulted by a church therapist. She calls me up crying, and obviously I answer the phone no matter what I'm doing. It's what I would do with any of my friends who are going through such a hard time. Cassie doesn't trust many people, so the fact that she turns to me when she needs someone means a lot to me. Yesterday I realized I hadn't heard from Cassie in a long time. I sent her a text and it went through on my phone, but then never delivered. I thought that was strange, so I checked her socials and couldn't find them. I tried to call her and the call wouldn't go through, so I went to her house and she was home but didn't open the door. When she finally did, she was incredibly upset, asking me why I'd been sending her straight to voicemail and blocked her on social media. It turns out my girlfriend had went on my phone the night before while I was sleeping and blocked her on everything. I confronted her and asked her why. She said she thought I was dedicating too much time to Cassie and not her. I spend plenty of time with my girlfriend. I'm most mad she never talked to me about this. She just went into my phone and blocked her. We've been dating for a year. I feel like this might be a deal breaker for me, but I want to know if I'm overreacting or not. Thank you. ETA, my girlfriend doesn't have the passcode to my phone. She was lying next to me and had my Apple Watch on. She was able to unlock my phone because of that. This would be an absolute deal breaker for me. If partner comes up to you and says, I feel like you're spending too much time supporting this friend and it's affecting me, it's affecting our relationship, I'm dealing with some stuff at the same time, there's a conversation. You can discuss whatever you want around that, boundaries or whatever. However, the fact she waited till you're asleep, used your watch to unlock your phone, I'm not sure how that works. Does it just need to be close to the phone or does she actually have to put it up to the watch, which for some reason in my head that makes it even worse. And then starts deleting numbers and blocking them everywhere and pretending nothing happened. This wasn't just some random girl he was talking to, it was a lifelong friend whose mother died, whose brother committed suicide within weeks of each other. I just sit here thinking, how can you just have zero empathy for what that person's going through? As I said, I'd be done with that. The first commenter says to OP, this is absolutely a deal breaker. Your girlfriend is controlling, petty, deceitful and cruel. She didn't talk to you first. She invaded your privacy and made your extremely fragile friend think you had blocked her. That's not just jealous and insecure. It's hateful. How dare she do that? Or dump her on the spot. She's revealed her character to you and it's horrible. You're a good friend. She should respect you for that, not consider it a negative. Dump her and keep comforting Cassie. It sounds like you're her only lifeline right now. Someone says maybe it was a misunderstanding. Was the girlfriend aware of Cassie's situation? OP says yes, she's fully aware of the situation. OP then explains how the girlfriend got into the phone and says that's what it is, it's the mask thing. Whenever my phone can't read my face, our room was dark, it had checked to see if my watch is nearby and unlocked, which it was, so my phone unlocked. So it was 5 days later that OP came back in and says, I broke up with my girlfriend. I couldn't wrap my head around just going that nuclear without having a conversation with me first. I would almost understand if she told me about her feelings first, that she was jealous or insecure, but she was telling me everything was fine. She wasn't feeling any type of way, and then 2 hours later, did that. What other things would she not communicate with me and just do something drastic instead? If she was feeling insecure about my friendship with Cassie, or our relationship, or didn't think I was dedicating enough time to her, she should have communicated that with me. She took it really badly. I just tried to be open and honest about her, about why I was doing this. She completely ignored everything I was saying and insisted I was breaking up with her to date Cassie. She went on social media and put Cassie on blast, saying that she was a life-wrecking whore who's been trying to sleep with me our entire relationship, who'd been using her family tragedies as an excuse to come in between our relationship. Cassie and I blocked her on everything. A lot of you made really good points in regard to Cassie needing to get into therapy. She's been insanely against therapy, but someone made a really good point about teletherapy. Cassie said that she's open to that, so she hasn't started yet, but she has a call with a female therapist next week. A lot of people were mentioning how I went over Cassie's house after only not hearing from her for a day. People were saying that was extra, and the reason why my ex-girlfriend was getting upset. 7 weeks ago, Cassie and I were hanging out, and she had mentioned she had been in the middle of a conversation with her brother, and he hadn't replied to her yet. She thought it was weird enough to mention, but not a big enough deal that we didn't stop hanging out. When we went back to her house, her brother had shot himself in their backyard. It was fucked. It's in my head forever, and I'm terrified it's going to happen to Cassie. She's talked about it before, and we've had scares before. So yeah, we talk a lot, and I get nervous when she doesn't answer me. It might be an overreaction, but it's just what we do. We talk a lot. Anyway, thanks for your advice. I think I knew what I had to do. Just needed the validation. Commenter says, how long had you and your girlfriend been dating? OP says, about 1.5 years. Yep, and I don't blame OP for being done with that relationship immediately because like I said, if someone showed that kind of lack of empathy, I would seriously be side-eyeing that person and probably wouldn't want much to do with them if I'm being quite honest. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story is a bit of an older one from the relationship advice subreddit. There's a trigger warning on it of ableism within the story. It's from Elegant Flamingo 101, who says, my boyfriend, 18 male, drove away from me, 18 female, when he saw my wheelchair for the first time. My boyfriend, 18 male, and I, 18 female, have been together since January of 2020. He is, well, maybe was, always an amazing boyfriend. We've not seen each other in person since the end of last year due to travel restrictions and safety precautions. In March of this year, I was paralyzed in a car accident and now use a wheelchair, and he wasn't able to come visit me. Only my brother was able to, though we did FaceTime often. Today, we're able to see each other as he was passing through my state to visit his grandparents. His grandpa is dying. He was going to come to my apartment to pick me up so we could go somewhere. He saw my wheelchair and his facial expression was weird. I found it difficult to transfer into his SUV as it was very high up, Jeep Wrangler with the big wheels. So I asked him to help me. He said I can do it on my own since I transferred to my own car, Mini Cooper, and he can't be my own personal servant. I never treat him like one. This was just one difficult task I needed help with. Then he drove away. I don't know what to think. I know he's under a lot of stress with his grandpa dying, and one of his cousins that he was quite close with recently passed away, so it may have been him just overwhelmed with everything that has happened. But at the same time, he shouldn't have done what he did, even though I don't fully know why he did that. How should I feel about this? I'm honestly torn. My brother said dump him, but one of my friends said to talk to him about it. Should I talk to him about this? How do I proceed? Do I break up with him? What do I do? Oh my bloody word. Lost for words sometimes on these stories. I get he was going through a lot. Young, overwhelmed, and his granddad was dying. Life was just he was getting the shitty end of the stick from all angles, right? But his girlfriend was paralyzed in a car accident. Paralyzed. She's probably spent months rebuilding her life, adapting to a wheelchair, and figuring out how to do things most people probably don't even think about, right? And the first time he sees her in person, she just asks for a little bit of help getting into his car, which I think is a completely reasonable request. And he responds with, "I'm not your servant," before driving off and leaving her stranded. What an absolute coward. And I really hope the comments are just going to say, "Be done with this immediately." No, that's all the story so far, is just dumping, right? But Squilly and Fancy Son says, him refusing to help you into a car and just leaving you there was him breaking up with you. Commodore says, you need to put an access ramp near his car so you can tell him to fuck off and roll away in style. Commodore says, have a close loved one who is permanently disabled and uses mobility devices. You have a beautiful life ahead of you, but not with this man. This man just showed you who he is. You have not seen him since March, and he blew you off and wouldn't help you with a simple request. Know your worth. You wouldn't treat an acquaintance this way, let alone a loved one. Again, know your worth. Commodore says red flags. Did he even apologize and acknowledge that what he did was unacceptable? If not, then you deserve better. Opie says it happened recently, and we haven't texted each other yet. Commodore says, did he know about your situation? And Opie says he 100% knew. 12 days later, Opie does update the post and says, lots of people have asked me for an update, so here I am. Long story short, he's an ex-boyfriend now. I did some thinking and decided to break things off, so I broke up with him over text. He tried to explain himself. He said he panicked when he saw me and didn't know what to do, but I didn't think I could get past that incident. He begged me to take him back, but all of his efforts were in vain. In the end, he ended up blocked. Now I'm enjoying single life. Commodore says, damn girl. Hope you popped a wheelie after that absolute boss move. I'm glad you're putting yourself first. Another one says, when I first saw this update, I hadn't seen your original post, so I figured this was maybe an online relationship and he's meeting you for the first time. Saw the wheelchair and panicked and drove away. Then I looked at your original post. Nope, he knew you'd been paralyzed, and when you asked him for help in getting your wheelchair into his vehicle and he came to see you, he got angry with you, then drove away. That's not someone panicking about you being in a wheelchair. That's someone who was being an arsehole that didn't want to help you with a very, very reasonable request, and who did something really, really crappy to you, making it all about him. The fact that he then doubled down on trying to excuse his reaction and to insist you take him back instead of being embarrassed or even having come back to help you guys says loads about his overall character. Not just in this one situation, but on a long-term basis. Life is too short for this type of nonsense or to be with people who pull this type of nonsense. Good on you for sticking up for yourself and not tolerating the bullshit. Also, panic and stress don't cause people to become total jerks like that unless they're already jerks to begin with. Or at least that's been my experience. Yeah, again, I feel like I've said it after every story so far. I don't blame OP one bit. The visual image that gave me of him stood there expecting OP to just climb into this Jeep Wrangler. I mean, if you haven't seen it, look at a comparison on Google or something, a Jeep Wrangler compared to a Mini Cooper. It's absolutely wild and very cruel with his response in that original post. I would have loved to have heard his true explanation rather than he panicked when he saw you. There's some bullshit right there. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly, it's absolutely amazing. And hopefully, I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care and much love.